real estate bubble. Blame it on work from home. But it's really the banks. If any of you have been following certain YouTubers, you know damn well that these empty buildings have been empty from before the pandemic. That the horrible rent prices made these unusable places sit empty. This didn't just start because of the pandemic. Besides slumlords and falling apart apartments, there is something fishy about all of this commercial buildings being unused. Just take a look at those specialty rich people apartments that don't even get rented. They are stashing money in overvalued useless properties imho. Source for context. I've watched Manhattan build skyscraper after skyscraper for wealthy people for over 2 decades. I personally think it's mostly foreign investors using them as money laundering investments. Pay now, sit on it for 10-20 years. Sell at vastly higher prices. Work from home is a boom to business. They don't have to provide a worker with a space to work. Do you realize how much savings that is? The worker will supply their own workspace. Business has never had it so good. I really don't get how banks fuck everything up that they touch. How hard can it be to invest wisely? Just wait until the 40-year fixed interest rate starts to become popular. Residential will go through another bubble. My company leases an entire floor, 20 offices, for 50-60 employees. 2020 happened and we went full WFH. I have had to go in once a week or so to do stuff on the on-premise servers, and not just my floor but every floor is basically empty now. Nobody in parking. My company is still on the lease for 1 more year, but we're already moving everything to the cloud and will continue to do 100 WFH for all. I remember when just making sure you had the right air pressure in your tires could go a long way towards fossil fuel consumption and energy dependence. Why is it never talked about how much WFH without the daily commute is such a huge reduction in costs of fuel, tires, automobiles, road maintenance, etc.? Repurpose those damn office buildings. We need the savings to society more than we need to keep the landlords wealthy. Insurance isn't right, will join the bank. I for one didn't need a home to live in before work from home. Office commercial being empty is one problem. There are very few residential commercial properties that remain empty for long. Even the rich people apartments get rented at high rates by offering concessions. Watch Louis Rossmann on YouTube. He was going around NYC talking about how high rents are and how long the buildings have sat for. This place won't last long. 3 years later it's still sitting. Combination emo, BlackRock buying residential obviously is a problem. The pricing pandemic caused with WFH in the Northeast sucks, because in places like NJCT we are getting New Yorkers who don't care houses were $650K because it was the same if not more in NY. But these interest rates are killer, and if it weren't for student loans and daycare, I could pay for a big home, but instead interest would have me paying over $500 more a month than from before this bullshit. Hopefully the market crashes to shit and I can sell my home, and just have a damn garage. Is it for the land or the properties on it? Why would they want to keep stagnant lots? Biking around suburban southern Denver is so weird. Just empty commercial building after empty commercial building, but at the same time they can't put up the cheapo condos and rubber stamp subdivisions fast enough. Like I have no fucking clue what is going on. Empty buildings built and financed by speculators with borrowed money are only suspicious if they're in China. Owner of building that has sat empty for years in a dying town in Middle America, let's charge max market rates as compared to new construction in bigger cities. Any day now the tenants will come knocking and pay whatever we are charging. Seen The Big Short? Currently everyone is acting like commercial real estate are the upper tranches of 2008's CDOs, that it's all pristine, it's fine, nothing to worry about, there's no way it could fall. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Ever since I bought my house I've been getting called by random people who want to buy it. I used to work for a major telecom company at their headquarters almost 2 decades ago. They built a huge new only used about 40 of it. 2 decades ago. Edited fixed the time frame because time is wibbly wobbly. The problem is a tenant will take the space for 30 years, so if you put in a cheap shitty low rent etc. tenant, your building is worth less when you want to sell it. Waiting for the right tenant is what this is. The fact that they can eat zero revenue for a long time means interest rates are too low. Besides slumlords and falling apart apartments, there is something fishy about all of this commercial buildings being unused. What do you mean by apartments? And fishy? Blame the Fed. They were buying up bonds to artificially bloat real estate, and stopped last September, which matches the time housing value started to decline. Should look at the vehicle market too, because I know that bubbled up, but I don't know the specifics there. Businesses and investors are for sure building these big buildings for future investments more so than just rent. They will build them, rent them to get some money, use them as capital to gain more from the bank, sell it off for X more than what they borrowed from the bank, give the bank the money back making the X, using the tenant money to pay whatever short-term costs were and repeat. In my town there are all kinds of new high-rise apartments, luxury style that went up so fast. They're junk but rent for so much and they're all half empty. I can't believe we're squabbling over pennies in tax deductions while giving tax holidays to billionaires big enough for them to go to Mars. We're truly regarded. Fishy. What YouTubers have good vid on this? Thank you kind sir. I am working 3 jobs and sweating over affording a trailer on a small plot of land. Real estate is a dumpster fire and you don't have to blame anyone. It's just something that's happening. The commercial real estate market in my city was fucked up pre-pandemic. So many empty parts of office buildings downtown. I got to admit that the pandemic did make it worse, but it was bad to start with. It's been like that in Shenzhen, China 10 years ago. The lobby had table tennis tables. Literally no one worked in the business center. Somehow the real estate in China is still not imploding. I know the gov is heavily controlling the market, but if you ever saw the status years ago, it's just jaw-dropping. Ghosts of Evergrande from RMBS to CMBS linger. Built-to-rent suburbs are cancer. Louis Rossmann Gang, reporting in. Won't somebody please think of the poor landlords? Gonna go against the tide here and say it's natural, basic, supply and demand. Sorry super stonk. I don't remember where I heard it, might have been in this sub, that when it's not rented, they can use the rent that's missing as a write-off against their mortgage payments on the building, too. That's why they'd rather have higher rent and empty units than lower the rent and fill the buildings. Scams. Nothing to do with GM. I'm from all. This is known. What YouTubers please link? Are they using mark-to-market to keep inflated prices in their books? Commercial real estate in my town has been decaying since 2008, so, yeah, it's not us. Commercial REITs are beyond super fucked. My biggest tinfoil of the past few years stems from the problems the main NY Fed banks were having in fall of 2019. Fall of 2019. It was a strategy during cheap money. Companies like Starbucks would open tons of locations with 10-year leases plus option years. All underperforming locations were closed after the initial term, leaving tons of empty real estate. Oh, what's that? Commercial real estate going to hit the fan? If only this could have been avoided. It's quite known that Russian oligarchs launder their money by buying NYC buildings and listing them for rent at impossible prices and leave them dilapidated, or buy billionaire apartments that never get used.